So the person who wrote this said, being a single mom, I live within a certain budget and tax bracket, but I'm aiming at clients in a higher budget and bracket because I want to make money, obviously. So what I'm wondering is, if you were in the same boat starting out, did you feel like you were out of your league, or kind of impostoring, if that's a word? I know that I know what I'm doing, but I sometimes feel like I'm faking my authority or something because I'm not a full-time professional, i.e. only side hustling right now. Does any of that make sense? Okay, so here's my answer to this email, and this is like something that I feel is so like dear to my heart, because this is exactly what I felt like when I started, and I want you guys to know that. Like, I was not in a situation where, for example, I was married and I just wanted to have a side business and I really didn't have any like risk on the line. I mean, if that's you guys, you're in a perfect situation, because I promise you, you can start a side business or a part-time business and be making great money and not feel like you have your entire income tied to this one certain thing. But I am a crazy person, and I was going through a divorce. I quit a job that was absolutely horrible, which is what I tell all of you guys not to do. And I jumped straight into this business, and I had 2 kids. And so that I don't tell anybody to do that. And the reason why is because even if the strategies all could come together perfectly and would all work, then you would still feel like this anxiety of, and this is what I felt with my kids was, I could eat like, rice and beans every month for 6 months, but like I can't ask my kids to do that. So I was just in a situation where I didn't, what am I trying to say? Like I really had to make the money. Like I really had to make this work. And so I gave myself that, like it either has to be awesome or like it's not gonna happen. So here's my answer to this email. That's an awesome question, so real life, and definitely the kind of thing that I think about. And what I mean when I wrote that was, how to be with clients that are in a high end tax bracket, the way that it was worded in this email, without feeling like you're out of your league, because it's hard to kind of be in that situation where you need the money so bad, but you need to also seem like you don't need it. Does that make sense? Like you want to not be desperate. So here's the answer that I said to her. Don't feel like I'm faking my authority anymore, obviously, because I have been doing it for a while, but I will tell you that the main thing on your clients' minds is themselves and their issues. Okay, that's important, point number 1. It's important to me that I don't play up the fact that I was a single mom and never act desperate for the money. And the fact that when you started as a side hustle, sorry, I'm adding a lot to my explanation of this email. The fact that it's not your sole source of income automatically makes you less likely to give off that needy vibe. So that's the reason why I tell you guys, start it as a side business, because then you are not in that situation where you're trying not to act desperate, but you actually are. Does that tie it all together? So, and then kind of further on in the email, I said another source of pain or growth for me at that time was that my boyfriend's ex-wife was in like kind of the exact type of circle of people that I wanted to be working with. Okay, and that's hard enough to overcome, like that fear or like that discomfort of being with people that you don't want to seem like I mean, I don't know any other way to say it, but like you don't want to seem like you need the money, but you do. Like you're doing it as like a full-time business. Like that's why it's so perfect to start it as a side business, so that you're not like struggling with that fear constantly. So the thing was, and this was like the hugest, I think this is one of the scariest things I ever did, was I emailed my boyfriend's ex-wife, and I asked her to look at my very first website that I did. And I just said, like, what do you think about this? And here's what she said. She said, I get what you're trying to do, but you need to kind of tone down the slang the slang that you're using, kind of tone down the tone. Because like I was reading a lot of like writing tips online that were all like, be yourself, talk how you talk. But what she was telling me, and it hurt so bad, but what she was telling me is like, you really need to match what you're trying to do with the people that you're trying to reach. Does that make sense? So, and she actually said to me, she said, these women will be turned off by that, by, what you're doing. So, kind of just telling you all this because, well, first of all, like I said, this email like really spoke to my heart, and I'm done reading from this because it's kind of all over the place. But I didn't start out doing it like exactly right. Like I had to get some feedback, and I had to work through some of those fears and swallow my pride because that was really hard. But once I kind of addressed that situation in my own mind, and this is what I wrote back to this person, is that once I could kind of figure out how to be around people, this is her original question, be around people who had a lot more money than me, but without feeling like insecure about it. Once I could figure out how to deal with that fear, that right there is like where the money is in this business, because you have to kind of blend in with their world without kind of getting sucked up by it or be completely like insecure about it, where you don't even feel like you can feel comfortable in their houses or feel comfortable with their stuff. I mean, like it's something like you really kind of have to get used to, but once you have kind of practiced it and then possibly gone through, the pain of like what I was talking about, like I got some negative feedback and kind of worked with that. That's how like you build your confidence, and where you start to feel like I can walk into anybody's house in any neighborhood in this city and really feel like I can relate with that person, know what it is they're going through, know that they're not really thinking about me, they're thinking about how I can help them because they're thinking about their problems, and kind of just let that insecurity or that fear melt away. Once they see what you have to offer and how much they just like you as a person, then that is like what's making the sale. Like it's about the relationship. It's not really necessarily about your past experience or background. Ashley's saying confidence, fake it till you make it. It was a little bit of fake it until you make it, but it was also just like realizing that the stuff that I was so intimidated by, like fancy shoes and fancy purses, it's like once I was in like 20 different people's houses that were filled with that crap, and I saw their closets overflowing with it, I was just like, it wasn't as intimidating to me anymore. Somebody else who I really admire, her name is Jen DeZura. She's somebody else who writes about business on the internet, and she is really the one who got me thinking. I mean, years ago, before I ever had my own business, she was like, well, you better target people who have money because they're the ones who can afford to pay you. Like it might be your dream to own this like craft store that has like cat stuff, and your ideal client is like college students, but like they don't have money, to pay you, and you can't stay in business that way. So I don't think of it as taking advantage of people who have money. I just think of it as really smart marketing. Like you're targeting people who need you, and that can pay you, because otherwise you're not running a very smart business. Like that's the way I see it. I started out this chat by saying the thing that we're going to talk about every single week is like getting over some aspect of your fear. And once you kind of realize like what your client really needs and expects versus what you think they need and expect. Like we are all like super probably type A people who think like, okay, I gotta be on time, I gotta have my plan, I gotta be formal, I gotta, go by the book. Like they don't want that at all. But all the clients that I have worked with have a lot, not all of them, but a lot of them have worked with a professional organizer before. So they have typically run across that type of person who has been organizing for like 15 years. They've been to all the conferences. They have all this, golden star, golden circle around their name. And that is wonderful. I mean, that is wonderful for those organizers. I know they work their ass off to get to that point, and I have nothing but respect for that. But a lot of them have this sort of like authoritative my way or the highway tone about them. And every one of my clients who has worked with a professional organizer before will say, you know, like, I really needed her to be here, but it's like she's kind of like being judgy about my situation, or kind of like making comments here or there. And my client would be like, I know I have a problem, that's why I'm paying you, like, just like, you know, be here and help me, and like, you know, help me work through this. Like, I don't need you to preach at me, like, I need you to work beside me. And so you know, and that's one of the ways that you guys can, well, one, it will build your confidence once you realize that not every client, and I mean, I'm talking about people, like, these people can really afford to pay you. Like, they can afford to pay anybody, but they want you because you have like that sort of like fresh energy and like willingness to just dig in with them where they are, like, not where you think they should be. And I think that that's really important. Adria says, your straightforward perspective is refreshing and accessible to the laywoman. That is awesome. That makes me so happy. My goal is just to like reach that person and tell them there is opportunity here, and if I can just point you to it and, you know, get you down the road and let people know that this is a thing, like, that fulfills all of my dreams right now. So thank you guys for giving me this platform to talk about it.